Good morning, everyone. I'm Lauren Conlin. In case you're new here, I wanted to shout out Sherry D for the membership this morning. That was so nice of you. Oh my goodness. Oh, whoop. Sorry. I just heard my own voice on my phone. That always happens to me. Sorry. I do this every time. All right. It is Thursday, July 24th. Just making sure we're good here. So, yes, I have Wendy up here for the moment, but we are not really going to talk about Wendy until about 9:45 when I do have a special guest joining me. And it's not Wendy, but we'll get there. I think we can get there. So, chat, hello. Hey, Les. Hey, Dizzy. Oh, so glad to see you. Jody, Olivia, Wolfish, good morning. Afton, Carrie, NDT. Again, Sherry, thank you so much. Les, you guys are awesome. So I want to, I want to just talk about a couple more things. Sorry, it looks like I'm naked. I just realized I wore a tube top and I'm like, okay, I was rushing this morning. Yeah, so let's talk about a couple things before we get to Wendy. And again, my special guest who will be joining me at 9:45 briefly to talk about Wendy and some other things. But I have been going back and forth yesterday I did from New Hampshire to New York City, and I left so early and I didn't sleep at all the night before. I was so exhausted. I don't know what is going on with me. If you watched my Nicki Minaj and SZA feud explained video, I kind of mentioned Mercury in retrograde. And normally I don't even know if I believe in that stuff, right? But for whatever reason, I haven't been sleeping at all. I don't know what's going on. And when Mercury is in retrograde, they tell you not to, sign any documents or important documents that could mean, anything having to do with your car or your mortgage or your life. So yeah, I don't know if that means anything, but yeah, I definitely have not been sleeping. So I got here yesterday to the city. Yeah. Okay. So is that funny? Are you guys all not sleeping? Wolf, are you not sleeping? That's crazy. Tell me if it's just me, because I'm like, okay. But so I had said to you guys on the Tuesday live stream, I was doing this show with Fox regarding Bryan Kohberger and the sentencing, and then I was going to the crypto hearing. Well, everything just got all screwed up. The sentencing was very short, so they were having me go on at the same time as the crypto hearing, and I was so stressed, but I was so brain dead. I just was like, whatever, I guess I'll have to miss it. So I ended up finishing the Fox thing with Kohberger, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to text my journalist friend that was at the hearing, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, it hasn't started yet. So I was like, oh, okay. So I jumped down there. I just hopped a cab, and I was only 20 minutes late. And the defense had just started when I walked in. So it worked out, but man, I'm still just working through my myself being just brain dead. I'm just looking at you guys, what you guys are saying. Well, yes, thanks again, Dizzy. Oh my gosh. Wait, you're not sleeping either? This is so wild. Oh, Carrie. Yeah. If you're up with a baby at night, that is actually that's torture. I really think that's some people like it. My mom said she liked waking up and just holding us as we were, babies and kids, and she just thought it was peaceful. But I did not like that. I think it's the devil's sport to wake up with your baby. Yes, I definitely take melatonin. Thank you so much. Yes, nothing bigger than the chat. I love it. So, and Sheila, okay. So I need 6 hours, 6 hours and I'm good. 4 hours, that's crazy. I don't think I can operate on that. But I think many of you, if you saw my video yesterday about the crypto hearing, you might be surprised that these guys were, they got a bail package. I mean, I was very surprised, because I think I said it on my previous video. These guys were being charged with it was assault, kidnapping and torture, possession or unlawful possession of a weapon. And I'm like, yeah, no way are these guys gonna get out. And they did. I was shocked. I didn't think I heard the judge right, but if you've been paying attention to me, and you've been paying attention to me for a while when I was going off on this judge about jury duty, I mean, he really just proved my point here. Like, I feel like he really likes defendants, or he really, I don't know. I've just never seen a judge side with the defense the way this judge has. And this is my opinion. However, to be fair, we haven't seen all the evidence. So the judge seemed to be not super convinced that this man, this kidnapped man, was tortured. He wasn't convinced because the defendants took Polaroids, or they had their friends take Polaroids of the torture, whatever. So the judge had these photos, and he was just like, so you're telling me that there was a running chainsaw used on this guy, and this is the photo of the wound. I'm paraphrasing, but the prosecution's like, yes. And he literally said it was, I mean, the defense was like smirking, but he literally goes, or what did he say? My notebook. He said, sorry, I want to get it right because I said it wrong in my video. Oh, he said, did he even get one stitch? Literally, the defense was like, and then the prosecution was like, yeah, they burned the wound to cauterize it, so that's why it looks like that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, so the defense was just like, nope, this narrative is twisted. It was just 17 days of debauchery. This guy wanted in on the lifestyle. He's smiling. He's, and then they're saying that it was just all partying. It was hazing. It was one big frat house. And the prosecution's like, no, look at these text messages between Waltz and his assistant. She's asking permission to take him here, take him there. And the defense is like, no, it's all a joke. Like it's a joke. It's hazing. And they even have nicknames for him. And they went, deep on these nicknames, Hog, because of his, what. So, I mean, I'm confused. I don't know what to think here, but the one thing I thought was super weird, and I guess I don't know, you could say this about any piece of writing, but the state called it a manifesto that the feds found at John Waltz's Kentucky home. And they said this manifesto is essentially Waltz and Duplessis like calling themselves government agents, and they need to take all of the crypto and the Bitcoin from evil people, so that is not used to commit acts of terrorism. I mean, it's crazy. It's so crazy. I was like, wait, what? So in my opinion, and I could be wrong, these guys, they might just be super wealthy, crazy drug addicts, right? Like when they're on drugs, they say crazy things. And wait, are you guys being serious? You know what I'm saying? A hog is like another word. Tell me that you guys are being sarcastic right now, please. Because two of you said this. Yeah. No. So yeah. So I think, okay, great. You're not being serious. Awesome. So yeah. So I think that when these guys, they have so much money, they have so many drugs at their disposal, that they just get crazy and they start writing things and doing things and whatever. But I was just surprised because I didn't hear the judge say that, they have to turn over any weapons that they have. I mean, they literally said that John Waltz has 17 guns in Kentucky. So, it was just weird. So I feel like this judge, yeah, he does tend to stick up for the defendants, ensure they obviously get treated fairly, which is part of the Constitution. And I mentioned this judge in particular, Judge Greg Caro. He's also Luigi Mangione's judge. And oh, sorry, you want me to say the word? Okay, got it. Got it. About the hog. Yeah, no, I probably won't say the word. That's not very ladylike, is it? But no, he's Mangione's judge, and at this point, the defense is trying to get a hearing before September for Mangione because they're alleging that the prosecution, the state here, violated HIPAA to get medical records from Luigi Mangione's hospital, doctor, etc. So yeah. So anyway, I've seen a lot of people, just back to the crypto, about 5 minutes, back to crypto. I've seen a lot of people comment like, oh, these guys got out on, and their bail package is $1 million, ankle monitors, house arrest, 72-hour inspections, and turning over all the passports, whatever. But a lot of people were like, well, why did they get that and Diddy couldn't get out? And, I totally get what you're saying, but, we're talking about federal court and state court. And also, like, every judge is different, even though they should follow the case law. They should. And thank you, Dizzy. Thank you for spelling it out for everybody here. Guys, hog means this. There you go. If anyone's kidding or anyone's not kidding, yeah, there you go. But yeah, every judge is different. So it's wild. I was not expecting this. I really wasn't expecting these guys to get out because personally, these are serious charges. It's tough. And again, I know they'll be on house arrest, and they would be stupid to violate anything on these terms, right? They would be so stupid to violate the terms of their release, but people do it sometimes. So hopefully, we're all good. So yeah. Oh, good morning, Sheldon. Toronto. Love that. Love that. Okay, so in a few minutes, my friend Frank Morano will be joining us to talk about the bill he is trying to get passed that he's calling the Wendy Williams bill. And NWA, I have no idea why it's called that. It's just a term that I've heard before, in life, whatever. So no idea why it's called that. But yeah. So my friend Frank Morano, and also Frank Morano, he wants this bill passed, but he was the one that Sid was talking about the other day, who also had lunch with Wendy at Fresco by Scotto. So I kind of want to get a little bit more details from Frank about Wendy and how she's doing and, what her demeanor was like. I just, I want to know from every single perspective how our girl is doing and how she is holding up. So yeah, Frank is great. We actually used to work together on the radio, just like Sid. So I used to give reports on Sid's show and also on Frank's show, which was overnight. It was, for me, it was tough. It was awful. I had to get up at 4:45 and do these reports. And I was like, yeah, it was rough. But Frank has now moved on, and he was recently elected as a city councilman in New York City, which is a really big deal. So I was super happy for him. He absolutely crushed his opponent. And he didn't have it easy. He did not have it easy. So again, super happy for him. He's going to join us in a minute. And also just a little bit more about Frank and just our friendship. Frank was the first person to put me on air back in, I think, maybe 2018 or something like that. He really gave me a chance, and he really kind of always rooted for me. And I was so green and so new. And so I will always just be so thankful for him for that opportunity. So, and no, Wendy does not have the right to sign herself out of the facility. She's basically forced to be there because of this conservatorship. So this is what, and what I'll do right now really quick. Let me see. I will share this with you, the bill. Let me see. Okay, so I'll make this a little bit bigger before Frank joins. So he says, from Britney Spears to Wendy Williams, Frank Morano's bold plan to end abusive guardianships and protect vulnerable New Yorkers. Okay. And it's really well written. Guardianships protect the most vulnerable, those who no longer have the health, stamina, and mental faculties to deal with their finances and care. Unfortunately, the system opens up such people to incredible fraud. And that is so true, where those they trust most can strip them of their rights, property, and dignity. I mean, it really is horrible to just read this and just think about Wendy. And also, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Britney Spears. I really don't. I was one of those people that was like hearing about all the things that was going on with her and happening to her. And I was like, free her. And now I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. Is she okay? I have no idea. I'm not going to comment either way because I don't know enough, but I just want her to be okay. But with Wendy, I'm like, this is horrible. This is so horrible. So, okay. As the leading candidate, this is before he won, Frank Morano proposes a guardianship justice reform plan to ensure that no New Yorker is unjustly placed under abusive guardianships and that those needing protections receive it without exploitation. For every celebrity like Britney Spears or Wendy Williams who shines a light on the abuses of guardianships, countless New Yorkers, especially the elderly who suffer in silence, trapped in an unjust system with no way out, says Frank. And I think He is joining me. Yes, he is. Let me bring him in. He is just going to join by audio this morning. Hey, Frank.
Hello, Lauren. Thank you for having me. It's always a treat to join you in any circumstance, but especially when we could talk about an important issue like this.
Yes. No, thank you so much. Guys, so Frank Morano. Frank, what is your Twitter so people can follow you? So I'm looking for a hair clip.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need more than a haircut. My Twitter is at Frank Morano, Morano, Frank Morano.
Dizzy,
And
do you
folks
mind
can also
finding that?
find me on YouTube at Morano Vision.
Oh, yes, Dizzy, do you mind just finding that and putting that in the chat right now? Thank you so much. I'm just going to make a new banner. Let's do this. Let's see. Frank, how's your morning so far?
Great. Really, it's going really well. And I'm hopeful that the rest of the day does similarly well.
Yeah, me too. All right. Chat says hi. Okay. So, Frank, first of all, what inspired you to try to push this bill forward, and just talk to us a little bit about it? I mean, it's great. I'm so excited.
Well, I really appreciate that. Well, obviously, I became interested or became more aware of the issue of abusive guardianships during the whole Britney Spears situation. But you hear so many things about Britney Spears, and I never talked to her. I don't know what the story with her was. I don't know if she needed to be in a guardianship or if she didn't. And obviously, there was this whole fan situation. And I was on the radio at the time doing the overnight show. And when I started talking about the issue of abusive guardianships, I was amazed at how many listeners talked about how they themselves or family members were similarly situated. So then I saw this movie. I mean, really amazed. Wow. All I had to do was ask for stories, and I was deluged with horror story after horror story of people who had these guardians that are supposed to be protecting them, and instead, just stole all their money, basically, while these people are powerless. Then there was this movie, I think you've talked about it before as well, called I Care a Lot.
Yes, with Rosamund Pike. Yes.
Yeah, and it really, obviously, it's a fictionalized version of it, and there's a lot of Hollywood stuff in there, but it cast a new light on the issue of abusive guardianships. Then somebody that I was always a huge fan of, Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura on Star Trek, she was caught in one of these. And then, obviously, in New York, the issue developed a whole new resonance with Wendy Williams because she's so well known. So I never spoke to Wendy Williams before, never met her. But in April, when I was running for city council, I said, we should do something about these abusive guardianships. And in order to get attention for the issue, we centered it around Wendy Williams, and we're calling it Wendy's Law. So we're in the process of fleshing it out, and I've submitted it to bill drafting at the city council to be, for them to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And basically what it is it's a comprehensive guardianship reform proposal for New York City to prevent abuse, to protect vulnerable individuals, and increase accountability in the guardianship system. And it's named after Wendy Williams to highlight that if this can happen to a celebrity, imagine the risks for ordinary New Yorkers.
I'm so surprised to hear how often this happens. I was not expecting that at all. That's crazy.
It is shocking. I wasn't aware of this either until I started asking for feedback on it on the radio. And I don't think people realize the control that these guardians have. Under Article 81 of the New York Mental Hygiene Law, it gives guardians sweeping control over finances, healthcare, personal choices with very little oversight. And when I met with Wendy Williams the other day, first of all, I found her to be incredibly sharp, not diminished at all, not suffering from.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I want to get there. Because I want all the details. So,
But she talked about how she really can't do anything. She can't make any of her own decisions without permission from this guardian that she is under the supposed care of. And investigations have exposed cases where wards lived in squalor while guardians profited. And some of them, and I'm sure there are a lot of good guardians out there, I don't mean to cast aspersions on everybody, but some of them charge incredibly excessive fees, and others are ignoring very basic needs. You have thousands of, especially unfortunately elderly and infirm New Yorkers who are suffering silently under unnecessary or abusive guardianship. So in a nutshell, nutshell, what this law would do is create a New York City guardianship oversight board to monitor cases, to audit finances, and to investigate abuse. And it would guarantee independent legal counsel for anyone facing guardianship. Obviously, she's got a very good lawyer, Joe Tacopina, who you interviewed the other day. He was singing your praises. But not everyone can afford Joe Tacopina or can have access to Joe Tacopina. But this would give legal counsel to people facing guardianship and regular judicial reviews, and would also introduce a guardianship bill of rights to protect autonomy, to protect relationships, and the right to petition for your freedom, like a Britney Spears or a Wendy Williams.
Well, okay. Yeah. No, I think that also, and I don't know if you have any information about this, if you remember, but I mean, the judge is really important in these cases as well. And I think there was some kind of a conflict with one of Wendy's previous judges. I believe there was she got a donation from somebody involved in the conservatorship, or maybe I'm incorrect, but do you know anything about that? Or am I?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know the details of what the story is with the specific judge, but and I don't, not knowing about it, I'm hesitant to comment too much. But I will say that there have been repeated instances, anecdotally, where I've heard that the judges have very, very close professional or personal relationships with the people that they appoint to administer these estates. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was some similar situation with respect to Wendy Williams. And that's one of the other things, is that Wendy's law, it would require financial transparency. We need full accounting of the guardian fees and a cap on excessive charges. So we're going to also hope that it launches we're calling it GAP, a guardianship assistance program, to help families navigate some alternatives to guardianship. Because you may have somebody that does need some help, but doesn't necessarily need somebody in control of every aspect of their lives. Because that's what guardianship should mean. It should mean protection, not control.
Yes, I think that's so important. Protection, help, not control. There's a huge difference there. Okay, well, just to close the loop on the bill, what do you think? What's the timeline for this? Do you think that, fellow members of city council would be on board with this?
It's such a good question. I think they will, actually. Anecdotally, the members that I've spoke to about this, they seem to be a lot of interest right now. And I'm hoping to get something from bill drafting soon. There's some things that they say might have to be the purview of state law rather than city law. But basically, a lot of the members that I've spoken to, Democrat and Republican, have expressed a lot of interest in co-sponsoring this because, look, they've heard the same sort of horror stories that I've heard from folks in their districts, families that have reached out to them asking for help. And unfortunately, once you get put into one of these guardianships, it's really at the discretion of the guardian and the judge in that case, what's going on. So I think this actually does have a real chance of passing and helping a lot of people, I hope.
That's great. Well, we will stay on this and we will follow up with you on this. And just because we are dying to know, give us all of the details about your lunch with Wendy the other day, because again, I love her. The chat loves her. We just want her to be okay. I would be so happy if she gets out of this, Frank, and she starts a podcast and we can see her, on YouTube every day. We can see her interviews every day. I mean, I want her back as a media personality. She's one of my favorites.
I knew how popular she was, obviously, on both radio and TV. I never watched her show. I never really listened to her on radio, but having been in radio for a long time, I knew how successful that she was and how popular she was. So we started by just talking about the radio business, past and present. And we know a lot of the same people. She's a big fan of one of the stations that I used to be on, knew a lot of the personalities personally. And we were chatting about various folks, who we have a lot of mutual friends. And we're talking about the ins and outs of the radio business. I found her to be incredibly astute and incredibly, on the ball. Then we talked about her current situation, the guardianship that she's in, the struggles that she's dealing dealing with, the difficult, the interview that she did on The View, a recent interview she did at TMZ, some of the strategies that she and her attorney are pursuing, some of the situations she's dealing with her family, the documentary that she did recently. And I have to tell you, I mean, again, I'm not a medical professional, but we spent about 45 minutes together, and I found her to be not as sharp, but sharper than I am. I mean, and not that I'm the barometer of sharpness, but I didn't find her to be diminished at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Certainly not somebody that I would characterize as suffering from any sort of dementia. The specific type of dementia she has, I think, is similar to what Bruce Willis is dealing with. And to me, this was night and day. I mean, this was talking to somebody in their prime. She had mentioned it was her birthday, I think her 60th birthday, 3 days before. And she mentioned that, this was such a crummy way to celebrate her birthday. But I found her to be a very, very astute, not just astute for a 60-year-old, but astute for anybody. I found her to be really totally on the ball, and I'm hoping she's able to get relief from this situation she's in very soon.
I mean, I got to say this, I'm obviously happy to hear that, but you know how much that angers me? Because every single person who is with Wendy, encounters Wendy, spends hours with Wendy. We're not talking about a 5-minute conversation. I mean, even Harvey Levin from TMZ said, I spent hours with this woman. She is completely lucid. And another doctor, you bring up Bruce Willis and you bring up the, he has something called aphasia. Well, this one doctor said, it's very possible, and there's not an official diagnosis here, but that Wendy had alcohol-induced aphasia, which basically, she is an admitted alcoholic, or she was. As soon as she stopped drinking, and let me tell you, like, she would drink a fifth of vodka, and she'll tell you that, right? So, it's crazy. Once she stopped, she was completely lucid. She was back to being herself. So, addiction is real. Wendy kicked her addiction, and it's like she shouldn't be punished for that. She should be rewarded.
Completely. I mean, and if she does have an issue with alcoholism or substance abuse, that's nobody's business but hers and her family. There's no reason that she should have to be, having somebody spend all of her money, control all of her finances and healthcare decisions because she might have had an issue with alcohol. I know a lot of people that have had issues with alcohol.
No, it's so crazy. I honestly, I mean, again, it's helpful to hear how together she is, how lucid she is, but it's really sad. And talking to Joe, this is not going to be quick, Frank. I mean, her attorneys, he's not really stepping in, he said, until they're ready for a jury trial here. So that's going to be a long time. I mean, that's horrible. Like, I hate to say it, but that's horrible for her. I mean, it's like she has hope. Like, it's like you're in prison and your sentence is ending. But like, I mean, come on.
I completely agree with you. I mean, it is terrible. And I also just think about all the people whose names we don't know because they're not celebrities that are similarly suffering. And I think in New York alone, I think there are thousands. And I think there's probably similar situations around the rest of the country as well. It's a real shame. I know Karen Turk, who I'm not sure if you've interviewed. She used to be Miss Florida, and she was, she went to prison and she was very controversial.
Florida.
She's been very vocal on this issue as well. And I think if you haven't talked to her about it, I think she'd be a phenomenal guest for you as well.
Does she still host on like Real America's Voice or something like that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, honestly. I haven't spoken to her a bit, but I know how out there she is on this issue.
Okay. All right. Well, that's super helpful, Frank. I really hope that, I can have a conversation with Wendy sometime soon. I mean, when I say that, you said you didn't watch her show, she is just an unparalleled personality. She is so funny and she is so genuine and real. I mean, I'm not going to say to a fault, but like it's gotten her in trouble before. And I feel like I can kind of relate in that way, but she's fearless. She's funny. And she calls it like she sees it and in the funniest way possible,
I don't doubt that. In the clips that I've seen of her on TV over the years, that is exactly my impression. And I can tell you, I felt like again, we spent 45 minutes together, but in the 45 minutes that we spent together, she could go on TV right now and be just as astute as she was in her prime.
Right. Yeah. No, I believe it. I mean, you are now like the 17th person that's basically said that. Well, Frank, is there anything else that you want to plug while I have you here? I mean, guys, Frank is really modest, but he is honestly one of the most accomplished people like that I have ever met. You guys have no idea. If you go on Apple Podcasts right now and you type in Frank Morano, I mean, you will find his Mafia podcast. What is that called?
The Racket Report.
The Racket Report. You will find all of his shows from WABC where he has interviewed everybody. He has produced documentaries about Roger Stone, who's actually one of his very good friends. I mean, again, Frank knows anyone who's anyone. And if you think I know everyone, that is incorrect. Frank knows everyone.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you, one of the fellows that was watching, and I saw him commenting earlier, Ori Spotto has been a terrific guest on the Racket Report previously. And if folks can find that interview, it's definitely worth listening to.
Oh, yeah. Ori's the best. We always shout out Ori because he's got the greatest stories. He's lived the greatest life. I love his book. Matt and I listened to it on a drive. It was awesome. And I've said this before, Frank, you'll get this, but at the end of every chapter when Ori says, "Go figure." Now I always say that. So
that's very funny. I read the book. I have not heard the audio version, but knowing Ori a bit, I have to think that's just as engaging. I'll definitely check that one out.
Yes. And hold on, Sheldon, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we've answered this a couple times. Frank doesn't have the answer to, I mean, this is just a known thing. Wendy's ex-husband and son, it's like she's in this position because of them. Like they did not help because they added to the drama, and they added to the conservatorship about, spending her money, her son. And now her husband's, I don't know, he's filing some lawsuit, which I think is just for show, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the particulars. The only member of her family that I met was her niece, and I think her niece's boyfriend, and they seem very interested in helping her. But I get the sense, and this happens with a lot of guardianships, that there's a lot of tumult and division within Wendy's family, and different people may have different interests. I really don't, I really don't know what the details are with respect to the ex-husband, though.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for her. I remember that interview she did. I don't know where it was, but when he got another woman pregnant, I mean, she was funny about it. And I remember she made a joke about the diapers or something. And it made me laugh. So, I don't know. I love her. She's so classy and so great. But, all right, Frank. So nothing else you want to plug right now?
No, I don't think so. Folks can, last night, in Staten Island, we hosted this screening of Chuck Zito's documentary, Chuck Zito, An American Story. I don't think it has distribution yet, or, if it does, I haven't been told about it. But whenever people get an opportunity to watch this film, I definitely would suggest it. It was great having this event here on Staten Island. Chuck Zito, obviously just such an incredible, amazing character. And, he's led maybe like 6 lives in only 72 years.
Really?
And my only complaint was that it could have been 5 hours, this documentary, instead of 93 minutes. But when people get a chance to see this movie, Chuck Zito, An American Story, I definitely would suggest that they check it out.
Okay. Chuck Zito, An American Story. Guys, Chuck Zito's in everything. I swear. He literally, I mean, he looks the same, I feel like, since like 1995, but he's always in like prison garb. And like, don't you feel like he's always in like an orange jumpsuit in every movie? Yeah.
He has been maybe typecast once or twice, but
no big deal.
Well, exactly. So was John Wayne, I guess.
Totally. All right, Frank, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, chat, go follow Frank everywhere. He's the best. You're going to love following him.
Lauren, thanks so much for having me on. I'm available whenever you want me. Congratulations on
Yay.
the success of your show, and thank you for being so original, so creative, and so aggressive
Oh,
in covering and commenting all the cases that you're covering. Because in an era where a lot of mainstream media, especially people covering the courts and crime, are falling down on the job, you really kind of serve to fill that gap and serviced a lot of the people that are interested in what's going on here. So thanks for your work on all that.
well, thank you. That was so nice. And chat says, thanks, Frank. I know, guys. Frank's awesome. Go follow him. We'll get updates on the Wendy bill if you follow him and everything else that's going on. Oh, Maytal, you'll have to hit the replay for Frank because it was awesome. All right. Thanks, Frank. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Lauren. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So Frank he's great, right? He's so awesome. I'm so excited. I mean, I feel like there's not a lot of, I guess, bills that would kind of interest like a pop culture crime reporter. I mean, of course, there's bills about missing children and things like that. And, that's totally different. But something like this, I think, is really interesting, especially because I don't think I realized how many people this actually affects. Like, that's crazy. I cannot imagine being older and having someone take over my hard-earned money, number one, and number two, locking me up like freaking Rapunzel. That's insane. That's so insane. Geez. But anyway, that was Frank Morano. Now, what I wanted to do. So, guys, oh, Maytal, you're so funny. Celery juice. I've heard that's very hydrating, very, very hydrating. I can't imagine it tastes great, but I feel like it's probably really good for you. Oh, hey, Amber, good to see you. Okay, so before we get to the person I'm going to call soon, and I don't know if they are going to answer, apparently they have multiple numbers. So, and I tried to call them on Monday, but it didn't happen. And by the way, you guys, I have to make this live a lot shorter today. I mean, we went on for 4 hours the other day, and I also kind of felt like, did I just peak? Like, Garagos, Takapina, great radio host Sid, Nicole Angemi, amazing forensic pathologist. I'm like, did I just peak on this show? I really hope not. I really hope that I'll have better shows. But no, we did. I'll just tell you, we did try to call Ak a few times, and I was calling the wrong phone, but I was texting with him this morning, and I was like, we need to catch up. We need to get the tea. You know what? I'm just going to send him this StreamYard link right now just to see if maybe we don't have to call him on the phone. But let's see. Let's just do it right now. I'll tell him it can just be audio too. I'm so annoying. Like, I might be the most annoying person in the entire world. Like, you should see this chat. I have no shame. You know how it's like gray and blue, and it's like, oh, blue, blue, blue. That's me. Blue, blue, blue. It's like one gray. Blue, 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 blue. Like, I mean, thank goodness I'm married. Imagine me dating. I'd be like, so where are we going? Why didn't you answer? What's going on? No, I'm just kidding. But okay. So really quickly, while we wait on that, I did want to just discuss. I don't know if any of you guys paid attention yesterday. Let me remove this banner and remove Wendy here. Did you guys pay attention to the sentencing of Bryan Kohberger? Really quickly, I just want to talk about some of my thoughts on this and sort of, I mean, I definitely don't want to come across conspiratorial at all, because something that's bothering me about, I guess, people who may have thought he was innocent here, right? And I am not, how do I say this? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist with this case. However, I do recognize that there was a lot of reasonable doubt in this case. This was a case where the evidence was mainly circumstantial, except for it's not, and here's the thing, the DNA on the sheath, it's like genealogy DNA. So it's not even directly Bryan Kohberger's. And that was one of their biggest pieces of evidence here, was that they tested it, and it was like somebody related to him, where it was enough that it could have been him, or there was like a high probability it was him. So, yeah. So basically they're unsealing documents now. They're dropping documents left and right. And I think the people who are like, you know, don't you guys see, like he's innocent, he didn't do it, whatever. Guys, he pled guilty, right? He pled guilty, and his team this whole time was trying to pin it on other people, right? That was his defense. And pled guilty. And look, if you ask me, after hearing some of that press conference yesterday and how maybe the genealogy DNA on the knife, the Hyundai Elantra, the white car going by, like that's their biggest piece of evidence, guys, there was a chance he may have walked based on that, based on the fact that they only had circumstance. You know what I mean? I mean, again, you never know what the jury is thinking. You never know what happens in court. And I think his lawyers may have known that as well, right? Like he could have walked. I don't, you know, it's horrible to say and it's horrible to think about, but like, why would he plead guilty when there were so many holes that could have been poked? So I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I think it could have gone 50-50. So if he was innocent, why wouldn't he just go to trial? That's my question. Why? Right? Why? So there can be as much reasonable doubt as everybody wants to, you know, point out, because yeah, that's true. But he pled guilty, knowing that if he went to trial, they could have poked holes in everything. So boom. Because now law enforcement also came out and said, and you know, I will admit, totally wrong on this. Papa Roger, they said it's not him, right? And so I've seen internet sleuths be like, well, how did they know about the knife? You know, how did they know about, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Did they have a leak? Did they have, you just don't know. Could it have been someone inside the police department? Like, I don't know. I think that this case is still very mysterious, and they're not telling us everything, and that's fine. You know, maybe we'll find out in 20 years, maybe not. But yeah, I just don't see how people are still saying he's innocent when he had a chance to prove his innocence and he didn't take it. He did not take it. So that's my thoughts on that. And the sentencing, I felt like it was really just not satisfying, I guess. And I, you know, I feel so bad for the victims' families, because I mean, if I'm sitting here thinking that, it's like, how do they feel? I hated watching him sit there, and I hated watching him just his evil stare, just almost like smug in a way. I think the one thing that was satisfying, obviously, was Olivia Gonzalez when she got up there and just made his little peen shrink as she's staring at him, and he's just trying to be like, you know, oh, look at this, you guys, look who just joined. Are you kidding? Oh my God.
Let's go. It's good.
This is so fun. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you joined. I'm so happy. How are you?
What you got going on here? Talk to me.
Okay. Well, we were just talking about Bryan Kohberger, but we'll put that aside for now.
Yeah.
Yes, hey, guys. What were you saying? I want
to ask you a question.
What?
This morning, so I don't know if you know what I do outside of, like, you know, the entertainment, like streaming stuff.
Okay.
I'm like a huge DIYer. So I'm like down here, I'm like building a theater room like down there. So I'm like, yeah, I was. That's when I got your text. I'm like, no, for real. Like I gotta give you like the tour. So
yes,
so I'm doing all
do
that.
Have to.
And all this morning, I'm like, you know what? There's nothing like too crazy happening in the hip hop world that I haven't consumed. I'm listening to all the Trump Epstein stuff.
Oh yeah, I've got that on the docket here, and I was able to procure Steve Bannon's cell phone. Okay, and also I also have
what does
Steve
that mean?
Bannon's. Well, okay, and guys, I did not discuss this with anyone in the chat yet, because I'm trying to figure out how to handle this. So
by the way, you look good today. Look at you.
Oh well, thank you so much. Somebody in the chat was like, "Are you going to the beach after?" And I was like, "No, it's." I mean, I didn't address this, but I'm like, no, it's summer, and I'm just wearing a tube dress. So I have Steve Bannon's phone number, right? He's Trump's fixer. He freaking went to jail, you know, for Trump, basically. He knows everything. I have that number. I need to figure out. I mean, you know Steve Bannon. You obviously do, right? Yeah. So he's somebody that we can get information from. Now, this is the big mic drop, whose number I was able to procure that I have not even told this chat yet. Mark Epstein.
Really?
Yes. So
That's
don't
the brother,
know.
right?
Oh yeah. So I've got the number. I've got to figure out, like, I think I'm going to send a text, introduce myself. My questions are much different than everyone else's questions.
Wait.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Give me 1 sec. You have to. So, like, I thought this issue got buried 4 or 5 times, right? Like, and you know, again, I like the political spectrum of things because trust me, when I run out of hip hop content, I'm on Fox News, I'm on CNN. I love to indulge in it. I'm on PBD podcasts. I like to watch all of that stuff. But you know, I think I have a good understanding, but help me understand, why is this so heating up? And is there a smoking gun? People think that like Trump is gonna, I feel like we're gonna hear some allegations, but I don't know what we're gonna hear.
No, I mean, look, it's like there was a headline yesterday where it's like, Trump got a heads up from Pam Bondi that he was on the list. And I'm like, yeah. And other news, water is wet. Like, that's not a thing. We're not worried about that. We know that Trump had dealings with Epstein.
But he did say he didn't, though. He apparently he declined that he didn't. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't know where you fall in the political spectrum. And let's not do this because I love being hip hop. That's why I'm in hip hop.
No, it's okay. I don't care. But go ahead.
I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm not used to my man. I like Trump because he's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
This is a time like he's like kind of
nailed it.
He's not that straight on this issue, and I'm like, Trump, we got you, my buddy. Like, unless it's bad. Is it bad?
No. So you just nailed it. You literally just nailed my sentiments exactly. He is a straight shooter. He tells it like it is until now. And now he's gaslighting. And look, so on one of the last streams, a lot of these people, you guys heard, Rudy Giuliani came on and said, and look, this story, a couple people confirmed the story was true, that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because he was hitting on the masseuses at Mar-a-Lago, not anywhere else, not his own masseuses, Trump's masseuses, trying to get them to do sexual favors at the end of the massages. They weren't minors. They weren't, they worked for the hotel, but it was gross and they were complaining. And so Trump's like, okay, let's get him out of here. So they took his picture and they put his picture up and they're like, don't let this guy in here. So a couple people,
So I've heard that before. I've been to Maryland. I got a whole tour, beautiful place. So were their relationship like on the up and ups before that incident? Because it feels like that's like a final straw, not like, oh, we're like super cool and I see you do one weird thing. Because it feels like the first time I see you do one weird thing, I pull you to the side like, yo, bro, cut it out. Listen, I don't know where you're used to, but not here. This is my house. This is where, come on, cut it out.
Yes.
It feel like it was a final straw. And I think that's where people have this intrigue about.
No, that's a really good question. I can't answer that because I don't know the timeline. However, if I had to guess, because Trump was such a successful businessman, and obviously Jeffrey Epstein had his own quote unquote success that we don't exactly know how he procured, I'm assuming you're right. This was one of like a last straw type of thing. And they hung out and they knew each other. But like Rudy even said, like, I guess in those circles, like, I don't know how it is, but I can assume you do have fake friends that you use for, social climbing or whatever. Yeah. And maybe Trump did that. But my whole thing is there are people from both parties on that list. We know that. This is not why they are withholding it. There is something going on that is so much bigger. And I don't know what it is, because it's not about, oh, we have to save Trump, because again, we had, Biden's DOJ before this. This would have come out everywhere. I mean, he was running for president against Trump.
I would imagine they would put it out to torpedo that. Well, here's the thing though. I guess this idea, and I think this is where the, the public scrutiny or like, intrigue about this whole thing kind of lies, is like, put like this.
Okay.
If we create a fall guy, the fall guy can't fall or essentially die. And then you're still asking questions. The fall guy fell because, like it's over. So it's kind of like Epstein died and like this situation is still alive and healthy. I'm going to be honest with you. Watch out for Ghislaine. I'm not saying anything. Just watch out for Ghislaine. She's supposed to be subpoenaed. She's supposed to be testifying in front of the not grand jury. I mean, the House committee.
The House,
And apparently she might be trying to get a little deal. Who knows? They're saying she knows a lot. If the fall guy died, and we're seeing there, the DOJ, at least Trump's DOJ, they're kind of being a little bit like elusive about it. We've seen the Supreme Court block the grand jury stuff. We're gonna have to see how far are we really gonna get into the weeds before somebody else dies in jail. Come on.
Well, and
this
look,
is House of Cards.
No, and I agree with you here, but here's the thing. Ghislaine, she's a liar. She's a perjurer. She's a liar. She was charged with perjury. And, we read this on the chat the other day. We went through part of the transcript from.
What did she perjure herself about? Because if this time around she comes out and she throws people under the bus, I don't think she's ever thrown people under the bus, right?
No, that's the thing. It was opposite. She doesn't want to be a rat. So when she was being deposed in 2016 for Virginia Giuffre's civil suit, Virginia Giuffre, God rest her soul, she killed herself a couple months ago. She lied through her teeth. I mean, it's so cringy. Like, they gave her multiple chances. They're like, I actually think I have it. I actually have it right here, I think. Here we go. Just to let you see this, let me share this.
Well, now Lauren in real time. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, let me show you. She said, this is her perjury charges are literally listed here. We went through them the other day. And I actually think, don't quote me on this, I think part of her deal was she got these dropped. But here we go. Count 5. Okay. Did Jeffrey Epstein have a scheme to recruit underage girls for sexual massages? If you know, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, but could that be a statement of perjury if she acts, I don't know or I don't recall, even though she might know.
What?
No, hold on. Because remember, perjury really, as defined by the law, is you're saying a statement that's completely a lie or misleading. If she's acting, just elusive, I would think like maybe a yes or no question. Hey, were you there when this happened? No. And then it gets proven because like I've watched many depositions before, and it's always this like, I mean, for the people who follow hip hop, it's like Lil Wayne. Yo, what happened this night? And be like, I don't know, but I was with a bad ass bitch with a fat ass. Like, he's just being elusive other than answering the question directly.
Yes, but this is different. You're being literally deposed, and I mean, okay, maybe the bar is lower when you're being deposed for a civil case. And Dizzy,
scroll down a little bit more.
So let me tell you, you're gonna see more. Like, maybe sure you think this is being elusive, but let's keep going. Let's watch this liar lie. Okay. List all the people under the age of 18 that you interacted with at any of Jeffrey Epstein's properties. I'm not aware of anybody that I interacted with other than obviously, quote, the plaintiff, Virginia Giuffre, who is 17 at this point. Okay, sure, you could pretend you're not aware, except for the fact that he would tell you to get minors. That was the whole thing. He wanted them under 18.
Okay.
So,
right? This becomes a little bit more complicated and convoluted because she literally was, procuring or help procuring these people, which means, and she was doing it for a certain age range. Okay. You got me.
And I have to say, Monumental TV, Lauren's sometimes biased, it seems. I don't know if we're in the same world or on the same earth. How am I biased about someone who's been convicted of perjury when we're looking at her perjuring herself? If you can explain how that's biased to me, then I will eat my words, but I don't know what you're talking about. That makes absolutely no sense.
Also, I think people don't realize as well, like if there's proof that came out before or statements that she's made before that asserted that she knew, or other proof that came out before that she had to know, that those statements become perjurous, right? Like,
of course.
So it, like, again, it's one of those things where, like, especially like in the hip hop community, when people think that, the cops pull up on you, like you're in the car with a guy, be like, hey, did you know he had 20 kilos of coke in the trunk? I don't know. He just told me he was bringing me to the store. And that works perfectly because you're just kind of playing the lines. But it's different if like they go through your phone and you're like, yo, you got the 20 kilos of coke. And then they ask you, did you know he had 20 kilos of coke in the car? And you're like, I don't know if he had 20. Okay, you're lying. That's clear line. That's perjury. right?
Totally. Yep. Totally.
So it's one thing like playing dumb, and another thing where you're like, I'm lying and playing dumb.
And, the other part of me thinks because Jeffrey Epstein was able to get off the first time, I think that Ghislaine thought that this would never be a thing. Like, she can just say, no, I don't know. And, they had friends on the inside. I mean, he got away with, his first, I forget what year it was, maybe 2009. He basically got away with
Palm Beach.
Yes, on a prostitution slap on the wrist, just like Diddy. So she's probably like, oh, this will go away. I'm not going to, why would I, you know what I mean? Like, why would I implicate myself that I knew this stuff so that's my thinking. But, and this,
I always had a question about her though.
You're back to Cassie. Okay, got it.
But I have one question about Ghislaine. It always confused me why it felt like Jeffrey had so much leverage. Remember the Palm Beach situation. There was other situations, even that very secretive, plea deal that was super, sealed. He always had all these privileges with the law. Granted, his time was up and they did arrest him. He eventually died. But if I'm Ghislaine, knowing that the head guy is already deceased, did she never have any, any favor she could curry? Because it felt like Jeffrey was doing that as much as he could. It looked like he was looking over like, yo, you was at that damn island with me. Stop playing with me. You give me a charge. I'm snitching on everybody. And they were always like, let's handle this with kid gloves. With her, she gets a sentence. He's dead. I'm even like questioning, why doesn't she just blame it all on him?
Yeah.
If I'm her, I'm getting out of jail immediately. Even in hip hop, it says when someone dies, you snitch on the dead, and you're not snitching. You just blame it on the dead. He's dead. Why is she still in jail? I would have just came out like I was one of the victims. I'm Cassie.
Well, okay.
If I'm Ghislaine, I'm Cassie.
This is really interesting. You should follow this lawyer, Dizzy. Let me share this with you. I had this up today because this lawyer, he makes a really, really good point, and I think this goes to what you just said. So, and by the way, if you want to tweet this out, I would love that so we get more people watching, since nobody knows you're on with me right now, unless I didn't tweet that out. But let me show you what Mark Betterow said. He's a New York City attorney. He's got great insights on everything. But he said this: when all is said and done, people will realize they missed the boat entirely on the so-called scandal related to the list compiled by a sex trafficking dead rapist. This is very much about the living people who are staring at severe sentences in federal prison. Ghislaine Maxwell is a sex trafficking criminal properly serving 20 years. Full stop. She will never be the hero of the story. She will never be pardoned, nor is she going to talk her way into leniency of any sort unless she tells the truth, which she will not do, at least under oath before the House committee. Because if she does, she will incriminate herself and many other high-profile business people in the political, entertainment, and business worlds in uncharged crimes that will shock the conscience. I mean, I'm just going down. If you read that, if she really testifies truthfully about herself, Epstein, and others, her own exposure will be much greater than the 20 years she's serving now, and not worth leniency, or not worthy of leniency, unless she agrees to play a much larger game with the government that goes beyond meeting the AAG and responding to the House subpoena. She and her skilled lawyers know that her current uncharged federal exposure for sex trafficking, Mann Act violations, and other nasty federal crimes permit life sentences for crimes without statutes of limitation. So this is, if you keep going, it's really interesting. She and the other Epstein friends who have been subpoenaed by the House are in a tough spot.
Let me ask you this question though. And again, I'm kind of, but even though it doesn't really fit together like a really good puzzle, I'm juxtaposing this situation a little bit towards what the feds thought they had with Diddy. And I mean, essentially, if I think in hindsight now, even hearing some of these, like, I feel like there's an escort tour. Every escort that was there is now on Vlad. They're on camera on show. They're on CNN. You've talked to a few, right? Or at least one.
I talked to one, but I mean, Clayton Howard is out there making some very crazy claims.
Is he legit?
Listen, I kind of stayed away from that because it's a tough spot.
The way he's testified? Cassie should be in cuffs. Cassie's Ghislaine. I guess that's why I would say you followed this Epstein case, obviously way more than I. You know, you're more knowledgeable on it. Was there ever a situation in trying to get Jeffrey that they probably said to Ghislaine, yo, Ghislaine, we'll give you the Cassie treatment. You're a victim too, but you're going to be the victim who then tells everything. You're flipping on Jeffrey, and then you're going to give us every one of the victims, and you're one of the victims too. You get blanket immunity. You never go to jail. Was that ever a thing? Because I got to imagine she's thinking she's sitting in jail for 20 years. The guy who I got to imagine there's some love there. Even with Cassie and Diddy, there was like supposedly this everlasting love that was kind of like holding them together. The dude is dead. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I know. So like, why not? There must have been a time where they approached her like, you flip on this guy, you're good.
I don't think that they thought they could trust her based on this, number one. I think, and then number two, I feel like with her father and those connections, you know, with Mossad, who knows how that all came about. I think this was their last possible way to get justice or to nail somebody involved, you know, with Epstein after his death, for the victims. Because think of how many victims there are, and think about, I mean, tell me, do you know about Denise George, the former attorney general from the USVI? Do you know what happened to her?
No, please.
So she actually, it's really weird. I think it was about 2 years ago. She filed a lawsuit against JP Morgan and on behalf of all of the victims from Epstein Island, and she got fired literally like the next day. It was absolutely insane.
Wait, she filed a civil action against JP Morgan?
Well, let me show you this.
What was she, an attorney general? What was she?
Yes, of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Let me get this I mean, I was so shocked that not more people were talking about this when it happened. I mean, I did a whole podcast on it because I was shocked. I was just like, wait, why doesn't anybody care? Why does the mainstream media not care? U.S. Virgin Islands fires attorney general in Jeffrey Epstein case. Let's see. And then she broke her silence. This is her. I'll show you. Around Epstein case. And you got to look at this, the civil suit too, because it's just, I mean, it was really well written. Where is it? Yeah. She successfully sued the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, and then she was fired by Governor Albert Bryan Jr. in December. This is 2023.
By Governor who?
Albert Bryan Jr.
Wait, is that the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands? What the hell?
I guess it was, but again, this is 2023, so I don't know if...
Wait, the U.S. Virgin Islands have a governor?
Apparently.
Does Puerto Rico have a governor?
Probably. Am I an idiot for not knowing that? I feel like yes. I mean, right?
I don't know. I just they just fold up on themselves.
Wait, guys, Ikmel is in the chat too. He's so fun. I love it. But look at this. So, I mean, she won a $105 million lawsuit against Jeffrey Epstein's estate, the largest monetary settlement in the history of that territory. And what happens to her act? They go, see you later. Bye. I mean,
wait, is that normal though? Is it normal that an attorney general or usually the lawyer for the people in criminal cases now files a civil case on behalf of victims? Usually they would refer the victims to private attorneys, right?
Yeah, I guess, but because I think that maybe the territory,
because they could get that through restitution on a criminal case.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know territorial how that works there with their government. It could be completely different, but I do feel like that she took it upon herself, I guess, as the AG here, because this was on US, the property, it was on the US Virgin Islands. And so I think they were getting hit from left and right as well. I'm not sure though, but you're right. It should be through civil attorneys, but I don't know again how that works over there.
And by the way, one of the intriguing things about this whole thing is that, listen, it kind of feels like a Netflix, like really good series. It's like House of Cards, like 3.0, And here's the thing, in every conspiracy theory, government cover up, hey, keep my name out of it. I'm going to do A, B, and C to do it.
Yeah.
There's always a long line of deaths, and it's only been Jeffrey Epstein. Who's the next to die? I'm looking at it from the, I hate to say it.
You know who else died? Let me show you. Jean-Luc Brunel died pretty much the same way as Jeffrey Epstein. So he was mentioned. Let me show you this. Jean-Luc Brunel was mentioned in the unsealed documents that came from Ghislaine's grand jury. Was it Ghislaine? Yeah, either her trial or the grand jury test unsealed documents a few years ago. But we learned about this guy, Jean-Luc Brunel. He was an actor, I guess, in Paris or something. He was arrested for trafficking of minors and the rape of minors, and he hung himself. So in his cell in France, that's him. And he was an associate. So I mean, listen, they're not all dead. They're not all, or they're not
dying though. They're dying.
But they are. And then you saw Epstein's old attorney just died as well.
Really? Hey,
yeah.
Listen, Trump's my guy. That's my guy. But I'm going to be honest with you. He's giving me cause to concern, because if it was nothing more than, oh yeah, that was my guy, but I found out he's a fucking weirdo and I stopped dealing with him, it would be like one thing, be like, all right, cool. At least we know, like, sometimes you've made a friend with somebody of bad character, you figured it out, you cut him off. Yes. It's a different thing where you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was going on a 2-man with Jeffrey, and we used to be doing whatever, and yeah, we never checked IDs. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What were you guys doing?
I
hope it doesn't go that deep. And also, I have to think Trump is thinking like, listen, man, it's my last term as presidency. Yo, I'm pushing 80. Man, what y'all not gonna do is sully my image to erase everything. Because let's be honest, what do you think ramification is? And it's your show, so I'm gonna throw it to you. It's like, if the idea that Trump was involved in Epstein-like activities willingly, maybe even did some cover-up, there are some people like myself, I do think he's been within certain aspects, a proper president. I like him as president, but does that taint his whole legacy? Like, this guy, let's not talk about maybe these couple things he did right. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, the chat is blowing up because if you guys are just joining, Ak said it so perfectly, and I could not agree more in what he said, that Trump, the reason so many people I think like Trump is because he was real. He was a straight shooter, even when it was just kind of not appropriate. And now we've never seen him just lie like this and gaslight and just be like, you guys are so, like, I can't believe you still want to know about this disgusting Jeffrey Epstein, blah, blah, blah. Like, we get it. You guys need to backpedal on what you said to us about no more deep state, no more lies, because you're lying. And you are the deep state right now. Now, unfortunately, this administration is more deep state than, like, I'm not going to say Hillary because she's also deep state, but because of this scandal, they are. I think they are. So, yeah, it's crazy. I'm
trying to see how Trump. Listen, one thing I know for sure. One thing for sure. Two things for certain. When you count Trump out, he hits you with the tailspin. And I'm wondering, this is kind of, he's losing his base. And I think, Democrats, they're rallying around that. They're like, yo, we couldn't fuck with this MAGA movement. But if we could poke holes in it while it's the Titanic and watch it slow leak and watch it eventually sink, perfect. Yeah. And it's the first time I'm seeing people who, staunchly, like, gun-ho about it, like, we supported Trump and getting him elected. Some of them are backpedaling. Some of them are like, I don't know about this. And I'm wondering what he does to save it.
I know.
He's a TV guy. He knows the press. He's going to have to deliver us a win so big. We're like, why are we talking about this? Even though I think this is just so big already. Or have something up his sleeve to, like, it got to be like season finale type shit. Be like, oh, we were dumb to even doubt this guy. But I don't know if it exists. But we're going to see if Trump has one more apprentice, like, act up his sleeve. I'm gonna see if it happens.
I don't know. And I think that there's no coming back from this at this point, unfortunately. I mean, they want us to forget about it, but we're not going to forget about it. So I think this is not good for him. And they've got to come up with a plan soon, even though, look, I mean, and I've said this, there are more important things in the world happening than this list, right? But they've got to do damage control here, because they are going to lose their approval ratings. They are going to lose, I guess the focus of the people here. It's just not, it's not good. It's not good at all. And they have to figure something out, or else it's going to be worse, in my opinion. Right.
Last thought on this issue. This is the second year into his presidency. Obviously he's not going to have another term.
Nope.
I see some Republicans kind of falling back. You have to realize the problem with the Democrats, they have no strong candidate. So they have no one who's going to really be in the forefront to really snatch the reins. So you're starting to see the Republicans, who know that Trump is pretty much a lame duck president at this point. What they're going to do is they're going to dissent a bit to be able to make his point in a different way come election time, to say, what you guys bought into with Trump, we really are. They're going to almost try to reterm MAGA, and we're going to see how that goes. But let me tell you this. I always tell people, I follow hip hop. I try to follow every type of, genre of, media or entertainment.
Yeah.
And politics by far is the most, it always has action every day. Like in hip hop, you got to wait certain times. Sometimes it's dull. Politics never stops.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And, for the record, all politicians lie. Like that's why I'm always like, I hate to put myself in a bucket, because I love to call out every single side, and I love to call out all of them, because they're just all liars. And that's just the way it goes. If you want to be in politics, you just lie. That's
I'm not used to Trump lying. I'm used to Trump telling me the truth that don't sound good, and I'll defend him on that. Like,
yeah, there you go.
Even when he would say certain things, and I'll be like, well, there was always like this. They used to misquote him about the stuff he said about I forgot about that rally, and they were like, no, you were shouting out the neo-Nazis, and like there's actually a speech. He didn't, but he did say. I think he was mentioning the Proud Boys. It was like there's fine people on both sides, and him just being honest in how he thought rather than just saying what he thought people want him to say. You could try to find some nuance in it. When somebody lies, it just feels like
I get it.
That feels like you're looking at a fake person. Trump's never came off that way to me. He's in unfamiliar territory. I'm rooting for my boy though.
Yeah, no, and I totally understand. And something that I've said, again, I don't like to bucket myself, but I can pick out certain things about both parties. But something that I've always appreciated about Republicans, and there's never a shortage of this, they are always infighting. And I actually like that. I think it's cool that they all can never agree on anything, because I do feel like, the Democratic Party is very much aligned with everything, and that's great too, right? That's great. But I'm here for the fights. I'm here for the infighting and for all the disagreements. It's interesting. Yeah. But so did you happen, just to switch topics? I was texting you the other day about some of our conversations about with Joe Tacopina about what was going on with Fat Joe and the hype man. I'll change this banner, but. And you were coming up a lot in the chat about Lil Rod. So that's why I was kind of calling you like a psycho. I don't know if you got those calls. Maybe you didn't.
Well, now you could call me.
Now you gave me a different number, but yes, or you gave me the right number. But I was like, guys, I'm trying to call him so we can get the tea.
I lost one on the phone. That's why.
Oh, is that what you said?
Yeah. So I could text you from any phone.
Yeah.
But if you call that one particular number, it goes to one phone. If you call the other number, so it's iMessage. I have like 7 phones.
Okay, that's sketchy. Why do you have 7 phones?
Well, some of them were for employees, but then I just kept them.
I mean, I guess I'm half kidding.
I'll tell you why too. I got hacked in Twitter a couple of years ago, and what happened was that hackers would, like, say they hack like a rapper like Gunna.
Yeah.
They would DM everybody in Gunna's following and be like, send me your numbers. That's when SIM swapping was frequent. So when you gave your number, they would go SIM swap you and get access to all your accounts. So all my main accounts, I have numbers that are hidden numbers that they're only there for security. Like my Twitter got hacked back in the day. Tweeted out mad.
I'm kidding. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. No, just kidding.
Now it tweeted out mad disgusting stuff, and then it was tweeted out because people like rely on me for rap news. They were like, "Yo, this guy died. He died." And then Twitter reached out to me because there was so much misinformation, and they finally secured my account. And we realized it was the whole SIM swap and stuff. I used to be with Sprint. I realized they were trash because they were like, "Oh, we can't do anything." We're like, "All right, never mind. I'm leaving."
Yeah.
And then I got multiple numbers, so I have a number just for Twitter, a number just for Instagram, and I pay like $30-$40 a month, but who cares? At least no one knows those numbers.
That's so funny. I was like, am I missing out here by just having one simple number? I feel like maybe.
Well, if they try to, if you become the de facto voice of if you say something happened, it's breaking news, and you get hacked, you're gonna realize, okay, you got to go into a little bit more protection.
Actually, it's funny because if you guys know Rolanda Watts, she's a girlfriend of mine, but she used to have a talk show actually in the 90s, but her whole Facebook got hacked, and she was, a trusted media personality. And it was awful. Everything that
people still think I tweeted certain things from that Twitter thing that I was completely hacked. And it's one of those things where the lie spreads way more than the truth. And if you're not that liked, no one's going to believe that wasn't you. So whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally hear it. And Maytalis soon I'll have multiple. But here, I want to put up this quick little clip for you to listen to that it's Joe Tacopina.
He's a bulldog, isn't he?
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I wish you were on this stream. I feel like I peaked on Monday, unfortunately. But unfortunately, let me share this, put this up. Because again, we were like, this is very, very similar to everything that, Ak was calling out Lil Rod about, all this stuff. But here, let me turn this up. Take a listen.
Should be able to have a law. This is why, not everyone should be able to have a law license and use that as a shield for extortion, because this would otherwise be called extortion if he didn't have a law license. And, that's hanging by a thread, because here's what happened. Let me just explain.
Yeah, please.
This was a situation where 15 years after the fact, some hype man, you know what a hype man is? A hype man is somebody who basically just hypes up the performer, right? Before the show, hypes up the crowd. Basically goes to coffee, whatever else.
Yeah.
Some hype man wrote Joe, how many years ago? 15 years ago, more or less, and said, 15 years ago, I was the one who wrote half your music and I want royalties. So long story short, Joe was like, "Are you kidding me? 15 years later, I wrote half your songs."
Yeah. Yeah.
So he ignored it because he wanted $3.5 million, by the way.
Oh, okay.
With Joe and everyone laughed that off. He then comes back with this Tyrone Blackburn.
Yeah.
And I let him say his name because he's a defendant in a criminal case. And he's the lawyer. It's my mother.
Spanking him. My God.
Long story short, he comes back to Tyrone Blackburn. And with Tyrone Blackburn, they say, we want money because he wrote half your music. And also, we need $20 million because he saw you have sex with minors. What?
And that just at last minute, by the way.
It was the first letter and demand had nothing to do with that. That didn't work. So then you throw in the salacious thing, of course.
So you get it.
And minors, right?
Yeah. So that's when we were like, oh my gosh, that's exactly kind of what Lil Rod was going for in his lawsuit. And then it came up about your interview and stuff. And we were just talking. We were like, that was such good journalism by Ak when, this interview, when he was calling him out. And also you scared him from doing any other interviews. We also discussed that.
No.
Yes, have you seen him do any other interviews since you? And he shouldn't.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was shocked when he reached out. I was like, of all the safe places to go get an interview where it could be a softball interview, I'm going to go to the least knowledgeable, the least combatant, and the person who I could spin a web of lies around. And they're going to be like, well, Diddy's a bad human being. He did all those things you said. So let's go with that. And I hope you win $40 million or whatever. I was shocked that he came on. I got a shout out to his publicist. I don't think his publicist set him up, but I don't think he did him any favors.
No.
And then
no favors.
I was even more shocked when it was then told to me, hey, by the way, we've ran the idea about the interview by Tyrone Blackburn. He's with it too. Just you can't get too much into the case. And I was like,
I'm confused.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes. I got up early. I had my coffee, and then I think we had a good conversation. He said he's down to have another conversation with me. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, he did?
Yes, he says when the case has been settled or it's been concluded, he says, we could talk how you want to talk. And I was just like, okay.
Oh, okay. That's
He did say he wasn't running, though. I'm surprised he hasn't done another interview. Yeah, have you reached out? I could try
I honestly, listen, I don't want to interview him. I actually don't. First of all, I think that your interview, like, I mean, listen, I see the questions you asked. I see the way he acted and the way he sort of dodged some of them. And, you know, he was kind of gaslighting. I'm not really interested in that. And I also I don't want to sit here and say, I know that everything is false or everything is true in this civil suit. But the more I am learning about his lawyer, it's very concerning to me. And that's where I'm just like, it just seems like a mess, right? And it seems like there are similarities with the Hype Man lawsuit, with Lil Rod's lawsuit. And it's just like, it sucks. I don't know what to believe anymore.
I knew it was going to be a classic when he started laughing at my little corny jokes. I said, okay, we got it.
There you go.
Because honestly, here's the thing. When I saw him laughing about his own trauma, and I would never sit here and tell any potential victim how they should or need to act.
Right.
But what it told me, it was that there was a little bit of fascination by this process that's going on. And, there was certain questions, like he was in a conundrum, and I could think about him wondering what maybe his lawyer would tell him to say when I said, listen, if you had to pick between the two, monetary compensation or justice, what would you want? And he was just like, it's like, and then he was certain things. I was like, so, hey, listen, so, will you be, doing these things? Why haven't you written a letter? And he's like, I just haven't at this time,
Yeah. It's like Shannon Sharp. And yeah, we just discussed that. Like, she's going to get a payment. And then it's like, so you don't, that's it. You don't want justice. Yeah.
Hey, listen, first of all, and I hate to put my personal opinions in some of these, because the joy of covering this is covering it. And I like to have some objective common sense, but not put you become jaded towards so many liars that you're like, this person's lying, because you want to give everybody, you want to hear them out. But I'm gonna be honest with you, some of these things, they're becoming so blaringly and just glaringly to just, this person's not telling the truth.
Well, and I think, but no, just to say with Lil Rod is the reason I think a lot of us going into the Diddy trial thought there was going to be such crazy homoerotic activity going on, within these freak offs and everything because of his lawsuit. So it's just like, wait, what? Like, that was shocking. And then, with Shannon Sharp, that was a huge topic of conversation the other day, because it's like, well, again, it's like, if a woman, I don't know, it's such a hard.
Listen, Lil Rod just don't know how to be a victim. Let me tell you this, and this is what's wrong with the, first of all, I want to salute to any victim that's courageous enough to come out and speak their truth. But if you're going to be capping and lying, you have to understand how to be a victim. Like, here's the thing with Lil Rod. This is what I'm saying. He better hope he never makes it to trial, right?
Yeah.
That aspect of Black masculinity came out anytime I asked him, so do you think Diddy was trying to fuck you? If you're a victim who's alleging all these things, you pretty much allege that in the lawsuit. When I asked him that verbatim, that Black masculinity came out. Oh, wait, hold it. Very defensive.
Oh,
and
wait,
I was just
really?
like, hey, listen, yes. I was like, you're telling your story.
Hold on. I guess I didn't pick up on that. I didn't pick up on that. He was
very in denial when I'm like, oh, so Diddy was trying to fuck you. And you could tell he had an aversion to it. But then these are things you would ask the victim. Only one thing I say he did get right was, and anyone who's ever been in a domestic violence situation, whatever, they're always going to ask you, are you scared of the person? And for him, I felt he had the training to say he's scared of Diddy, but that's not what his heart said. Just like when I said, hey, listen, you've alleged many sexual things and that you were sexually coerced, you were harassed, and basically damn near almost assaulted. Do you believe Diddy was trying to fuck you? And that defensiveness there was not him. You know, it told me a lot that as much as, and again, I don't want to judge victims here, but this guy's capping. You know what I mean? Like I just listened to him, like, this guy's lying. Yeah. I'm like, he's lying, but you don't want to sound like a punk. So he doesn't want to just sound like, oh yeah, a guy could take advantage of me. But I'm like, bro, you're filing a lawsuit. You're doing interviews about your trauma. You said you've been in therapy, and a simple question as, do you think he was trying to fuck you? If that doesn't get a simple answer without you getting giggly and, nah, come on, act. No, it's not. No, come on, act. This is, you're a victim. Tell your story. So you can't be the cool victim. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think he wants to take the stand. If he takes the stand, I think, you know, someone who has passed the bar in the last year will rip him to threads, much less anybody who's on Diddy's team. And again, we're going to see. I think Tyrone Blackburn, I'm wondering what his strategy is. There's so many things going at him.
Well, he might, if you heard, he might not, like Joe Tacopina said, he is personally going for his law license. He is personally trying to get him disbarred. Or he's, and what I think is probably easier is to stop him from practicing law in New York specifically, or, you know, maybe LA, wherever, because he's filing this obviously in the Southern District. So he's trying, I mean, I feel like he's got a shot here based on what he had said about certain judges admonishing Tyrone. Tyrone is now a defendant in a criminal case for allegedly mowing over the process server. He, you know, they've called out some of his exaggerations, I'll say, on other lawsuits. So this is not good. And back to what you said about Lil Rod, and this could go for Clayton Howard as well. And this is me, right? This is how I would act, and maybe you and maybe some people in the chat. But if I have this traumatizing civil lawsuit, I'm going to drop it and I'm going to go hide, especially if I want justice. You're not going to see me on a media tour or a press tour because this is serious stuff. These are serious, sick allegations, right? Why would I go be smiling on a podcast talking? I just, until the case is over, what is the point of that? Why would you do that, right?
Here's the problem though, Lauren. And I think, you know, I hope we're getting to a climax where we're going to have to see something being done. Because what you're saying, what I'm saying, what Joe is saying sounds amazing, right? Like, hey, listen, the new form of legalized extortion is being a lawyer and filing lawsuits with salacious claims, putting it to the media. After it gets to the media, you're tarnishing people's reputation. And if it gets dismissed, who cares? The reputation is still tarnished, but most likely people know the cost. You know, it's like there's a cause risk like type of thing. You got to almost like analyze it. And it's like, hey, I'm just going to pay you whether I did it or not. Here's the thing. Mr. Blackburn has been actually referred to a grievance committee prior to all this Diddy stuff, right?
Right.
UMG's lawyers took him to task for a motion for Rule 11 sanctions against him, right? Joe Tacopina filed a countersuit alleging extortion.
Yes.
He has a criminal case about assault on a process server. It becomes to a point where you realize once you have that law license, you essentially have a shield like some people believe with the police. It's not that easy. If you or I had maybe 3 allegations of, like, well, think about Diddy, or let's not use Diddy, we can use just a regular defendant. Sure. If someone had 3 possibly allegations or alleged, you know, disruptions of their conduct with the law, you wouldn't get bail. They would bring it up over and over again. You wouldn't get bail. But when you have this law license, they have to go through a lengthy process where you get reamed out, this and third. Sometimes you go for monetary compensation. Again, you tell, and again, I try to look into this. They don't, it's really, you have to be really horrible to get completely disbarred. Like, you have to fuck up. You get what I'm saying?
I know.
Like for a cop to get fired, you just got to shoot an innocent person.
Yeah.
Like, I saw him. He reached for air and I just shot him. I thought it was a gun. All right, you're fired, buddy. But other than that, a little choke out, a beat up, you trip and fall, you see the thing, the guy punches through the window, start punching the guy.
Oh, that was awful. I just saw that. Was that
leave?
real? That clip?
Yes.
Was that real? My gosh.
Administrative leave with full pay. That's what I'm telling you. This is why I want to be a lawyer too. Because if I could just talk smack,
you're young enough. Go
if I could just talk smack, I would get one of those Kim K law degrees. Hey, if I could talk smack, knowing that I could now legally extort people, I could legally just file whatever I want to file. And essentially, the court, even if I get a bad reputation, no one could stop me. And you got to remember, in all these cases, it's not like you're targeting the hard workers, 9-to-5 people who don't have money to pay. You're targeting all these celebrities, right? If you get 1% to pay out, you're good. Think about Tony Busby. Tony Busby went through 8-9 months of getting it. Yo, he was getting hammered to him. Alex Spiro and Jay-Z's lawyer was giving him the works.
Oh, man. Now,
how does he redeem himself? He redeemed himself by saying, oh, Shannon Sharp just settled. We're good. I told you I was right.
No,
he doesn't look as bad anymore. Why? Because Shannon Sharp is probably trying to plot his way to get back to ESPN. He knows about this video of him having like some type of BDSM sexual intercourse with this girl that's still in the winds. He wants to kind of get back to regular scheduled programming. Here's the thing with civil suits. Like, for example, civil suits in New Jersey is going to take up to 5 years, right? Yeah. So do you want your income cut for 5 years, or do you want to just pay out? Like, think about this. If you're making 20 million a year, that's 100 million. So this person's saying, yeah, just give me like 8 or 9 and I'll just act like this never happened. Or you could have the allegations looming over your head, bad press, and for 5 years, you're trying to get to a conclusion just to show up at the end to be like, no, they were lying. And even then, remember, this is civil, not criminal. So it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the preponderance of the evidence.
Yeah. The bar is way lower for civil, way lower. I mean, that's why so many people get caught up and get in so much trouble. No, you're totally right. But, Tony Busby can't practice law in New York anymore, or as of right now. I forget
but there's so many workarounds. I'm telling you, the lawyer is the best extortionist in the game right now. If you want to practice law in New York, okay, he can't practice law in New York. However, because he's still someone in good standing in the bar in his state, he could do what is it? He does a motion that he hires local counsel to do all this stuff, and he basically is running the show. Again, I'm telling you, these lawyers, they're shaking everybody down, and I'm surprised that Taco Pina. Well, not surprised. Taco Pina's a bulldog, and Alex Spiro. They've taken the task. All the people who've done this. Listen, there's a few names, and I hate that they're in this mix because, unfortunately, it seems more. Well, Tony Busby's one, and he's not an African American. The others that's in that mix are like young African American lawyers who just got out of law school, and instead of putting in the work to develop a good reputation with the courts and everybody else, they're ambulance chasing. Like they're saying, "Hey, wait, who just made 100 million? Does anybody have a case against them? I'll take it." That's really bad.
I actually, so it's not funny, but I did an episode of Nancy Grace actually last week. It was just post Diddy,
what did she say?
It was no. I mean, she's very anti-Diddy, but I was nervous about something I said because I didn't want it to offend anybody, but I think I said it in a way that was respectful, but it was just about sort of, she had asked, like, do you think that this will discourage victims from coming forward or survivors, whatever? And I was like, no, but what I will say is what I've learned, like, from this case is if it is available to the survivor, and I understand why it may not be, and I understand that there are so many different situations and statutes of limitations, but if at all possible, go to the police or law enforcement before you go to a civil lawyer, based on what I've seen in court alone. 100%. And I'm not saying I don't believe anybody that didn't do this. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, credibility wise, for a jury, for whoever, if you do that, it will be a lot better. But I get why people don't. I so get it, Lauren, and I think
I'm a straight shooter. Listen, we're done believing y'all chicks or whoever else. We're listening though. We're done believing though, because there was a blanket idea of believing. We're done with that. right? Because we used to just persecute. Oh, he did what? All right, we're persecuting him and he's done. We're going to listen to you now, and then we're going to move off your actions, right? Like, and again, we have to hold you accountable a little bit. If you never sought to get this person incarcerated for a crime that, again, let's be clear, in all 50 states and in any region or territory that is owned by the United States, sexual assault is a crime of first degree offense. It carries up to life imprisonment in jail. This is not some light shit where it's like a parking ticket or a misdemeanor. If you feel that someone has sexually assaulted you, and I get it. And by the way, here, the statute of limitations on all these things are very broad, usually, right? Criminally, not civilly, criminally.
Right.
Again, if you're not seeking the ultimate, redress for what happened to you, and you're like, well, just give me a bag. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. This Shannon Sharp shit, it confused me so much. The chick claimed Shannon raped her. She said, no means no, Shannon. I told you this. She had it memorialized in text messages. She gets paid an undisclosed sum of money. You know what she comes out and says? We had a consensual relationship the entire time. And I'm like, wait, so you gaslit our outrage, our opinions, the Dr. Umars of the world who was like 1,000 lashes for you. And all you needed was just some money. That settlement stunk so much. I'm almost thinking they're back together. I don't know what's going on with it.
Well, but you, again, something else you said, that's a really, really great point. And I think this is not okay. That it's not okay that this is happening right now, but you said it perfectly right now. And I think it's definitely because of Diddy, 100% because of Diddy. These civil lawsuits are coming out of nowhere, dropping left and right. You can say whatever you want about whoever you want.
They're going to cool down, though.
Yeah, no.
They're going to cool down.
As they should, because now it's like the more that drop publicly and the media gets a hold of it, because that's what happens and that's what they want, they destroy the reputation. So even if it gets dismissed, it's like, well, my work is done. I destroyed the reputation. I got these nasty things in a headline, whether it's true or not. And it's very concerning. It's really concerning here.
This is why, the idea, and not to use necessarily a Trump term, because I think that's what he said when he got shot. It's like fight.
Okay.
It's very important here because and just the term, not necessarily nothing with Trump. It's just the idea of fighting. Again, so many people care about their reputations, but you're getting these people who are, they're just systemic shakedown guys. And what happens is if no one fights them, like, for example, I think about 6 months ago, there were probably a laundry list of lawyers that was just ready to hear anybody. Oh, you met who? Like, we even have on court record where I think it was Banner. Was it Banner or maybe it was,
no, it was her about the lies or
and it was like the lawyer told her, wait, just said he did a little bit more that we could go really get a claim.
And that was Tyrone. Was Tyrone.
So what's happening now is that all the lawyers that were lining up, the ones that were acting in bad faith, they're getting sanctions. They're going through it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So any lawyer, like I've always saluted Douglas Wigdor. That's the one who represented Cassie.
He's good.
He's always, him and his firm vet people very intensely. If you make a claim, he's not putting that in a lawsuit unless there's some verifiable facts about it or someone else that could attest to it. And that's what, when you get that law license, you're supposed to have some integrity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
we're getting back to that. And I think that's the good thing that came out of this, because otherwise, could you imagine if Diddy was just convicted? Like, you realize part of the reason Lil Rod did an interview with me, he was basically saying in a half-ass, well, not even half-ass way, in a direct way, he said, the publicist says, you should want to speak to my client. Why? My client's accusations is the basis of the search warrant for Diddy's place. However, when I get the client on the interview, well, why aren't you in? Did you go to the grand jury?
Right.
No, but I talked to the feds a couple times. So they use you for a search warrant. They got the search warrant, got the stuff. They convene a grand jury, but they never send you in front of a grand jury. Did they ever?
Yeah.
No grand jury.
I don't think he was a credible witness to them. I really don't. And Just so this is actually a really good segue here, because the other day we had Charlucci Finney on, okay? And Charlucci, tell me what you think about this. Apparently this is all kind of going back to Diddy, but he said, you know why all these civil lawsuits started and why they all sort of allege the same thing about, oh, Diddy gave me a drink and then I was drugged, raped, whatever. He said that all started with Gene Deal and Gene Deal's lies. And he went off about how Gene Deal is so responsible. He said Gene Deal, and again, these are allegations. I do not have proof. I asked for these letters.
Did Gene Deal say this stuff before Lil Rod's lawsuit?
No, yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm pretty sure he said this, you know, months before. And then
I never heard about GHB until Lil Rod. And then I heard it in every other case.
Okay, so maybe that's what it was. He said once Gene Deal spoke out, all the lawsuits started dropping, and that's where all this came from. And he said that Gene Deal wrote letters to the feds wanting to testify. And I was like, all right, I need these letters. Wow. And then, you know, it's almost like, do I need letters to believe that Gene Deal wanted to testify? No. But if you're telling me there are letters, I kind of want to see them because, you know, we talked about this. Gene Deal was lurking around the courthouse, wanting attention, wanting like, it was just
Gene
weird.
Deal and Lil Rod went to the trial. They were not invited. They were not witnesses. And and they have been the most vocal people, whether through a lawsuit or on interviews about Diddy's actions. And neither of them, the feds wanted any part of that trial.
No. Right. So I said, like, what happens to Gene Deal? He's sitting there on YouTube making all these allegations. And if that's true, that he just made this up out of nowhere, well, somebody should sue him for defamation because this was like a domino effect type of thing.
Oh, no,
right?
I think no, 100%.
Okay. All right. That's, that's interesting.
From people who I know close to like Diddy's team.
Yeah.
It was always, so I had heard like a wild number of how many attorneys and paralegals and, you know, private investigators, some of his private investigators hit me up, like, you know, earlier before he was charged. And he had a lot of people working on this and he had them separated. So we had civil, because remember that there was mountain civil claims and then it was criminal. Mm-hmm. And eventually, once it was imminent that he was going to be incarcerated or at least be charged or indicted, he basically like it's like the private investigators doing his thing, but he had everybody working towards the criminal goal.
Yeah.
I can't defend all these things if I'm locked up. And we saw all these lawsuits. And if you go look back early on, most of these lawsuits, there's not even a motion to appear.
Right. I have to look.
It was just too many.
Yeah, I have to look because some of these are just now going to I think before a judge. Like it was the April Lampros one that was dismissed last week. So things are actually looking good for him because a judge is now reviewing it and saying, what the hell is going on? Like this,
because there's a lot of amateur lawyerism happening here, right?
Yeah.
So like I forgot if it was the April Lampros one or whatever.
It was.
They filed it in well, I think it's either that one or another one. It was filed in another jurisdiction before. It was filed in Jersey. No, it was filed in New York. Then they said you have to bring that to Jersey based on whatever was something with Teterboro. It was a whole mess of like you guys have found the wrong place. So it's been a lot going on. However, here's a strategy I've heard from Diddy, or not from Diddy, but like Diddy's team is employing this strategy for him. But I've heard it from people close to Diddy.
Okay.
He's about to get on the offense. Defense time is over. They're still going to do their appeals. They're going to appeal every conviction, which is a 2 Mann Act violation convictions. Don't know if that's going to work, but even they're also going to appeal whatever ends up being the sentence, right? So they get two shots at the apple with that. I don't think they're thinking feasibly because, I mean, in the original trial, they didn't put up too much of a defense against the Mann Act violations anyway. So whatever.
No, they tried to get it dropped. So they kind of did.
Yeah, well, but not in actually trying to explain it if they didn't get it dropped.
Yes, like, fair. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Right.
Yeah, and if anything, like, you know, I think they were mostly trying to like just throw it on Cassie, like, well, she paid. She's the one to pay. But so now the criminal action seemingly is closing up.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have a surprise. Guys. I have sidebar.
Yo. Oh, wait, I can't hear him. I can't hear him. Zaba.
Oh, wait, we can't hear you. Talk again.
He has to unmute or something, probably.
Are you muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
now
we can hear you. We can hear you. Sorry,
Lauren, what's up? What's going on? Act, what's happening, man?
What's up with you, man? I'm fresh off vacation, man, ready to get back to work, you know?
I saw you down there with them palm trees.
Yeah. Hey, so I was just telling Lauren, I'm like, listen, Diddy's got a cold game that he's about to get into. Okay, the criminal stuff is going to get wrapped up. He's going to appeal everything. He's going to get sentenced. Again, I think everybody with a brain is thinking max like 2-3 years, he'll be in prison. What's going to happen, though, and he started with this, he's hitting for the defamations, but he's hitting the big companies first. I think he hit NBC Universal, and he said to them—
No, News Nation. Next Star. It was Next Star. Yeah, okay. Next Star. Yeah.
And he hit them, and he said, well, you guys have been defaming me. They came back, and they were like, well, your reputation was already in the dumps. Like, yo, you already tarnished.
Yeah.
However, there's no stones from what I hear is going to be unturned. Even bloggers, they're going to get it. It's just going to take some time because the damage to his reputation and his legacy, you got to remember, this is a billionaire that crumbled because, you know, in their like lenses, a lot of allegations that were drummed up on civil suits and flat out lies. So again, Gene Deal, Jaguar, right? I think 100% they're going to catch a lawsuit at some point. If you think not, and I don't think it's for the money, it's for the principle. For the principle.
Yeah. What do you think, Sean? I think because I had Charlucci on the other day, and I got to clip this, but he basically alleged that all the civil lawsuits started after Gene Deal said that Diddy he would see Diddy drug women, give them a drink, and then all of a sudden, you know, they would get raped. So he said that's where this all came from. And then he said Gene Deal wrote letters to the government saying he wanted to be a witness, and that never happened. So I said, well, why doesn't he sue him for defamation? Because this was pretty serious, the domino effect of civil lawsuits, if it's not true.
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, you can't just go around spreading lies about people, especially somebody, you know, with the resources that Puff got. Courtney Burgess, I mean, from what I'm reading, and I'm going to do a video on this later, probably today. I just downloaded the civil suit. You know, you're saying that Kim Porter gave you some information personally. You just coming up with these stories, man. And then the Southern District of New York spoke to him. And they didn't use him as a witness in the criminal trial because they knew what he was saying wasn't right and exact. So, you know, this is the phase where Puff makes his comeback. This is where this is the revenge piece. This is the revenge piece. The criminal case is over. He's got another 60 days to sit in MDC Brooklyn. I really believe with Maureen Comey getting fired, everybody in the SDNY, the probation officer, everybody has got their hair on the back of their neck standing up because they know Pamela Bondi is watching. They know the Oval Office is watching. And Judge Submaranian, they know that they got a color within the lines. And I think he's going to get less than 2 years. He's enrolled in the drug program, the domestic violence program. He's going to be home soon. And then people are going to see Ack and Lauren. Nobody thought they was going to have to deal with Puff again. They thought he was going to get a 30 ball. They thought he was getting 30 calendars.
So true. That's so true. Yes.
Everybody thought they said this nigga is done. I'm never going to have to see him again. I don't got to go visit him. I don't got to send his kids no money. I don't got to shout him out. He's going to prison for the rest of his life, and he beat it. So now he's going to be home soon. And I don't see my man. Y'all mentioned his name. His name is right there on the screen. You know, nothing that he said, even when he was covering the Big Meech case with me, everything he was saying was false. So everybody's got it coming to him, man.
Wait, so you interviewed Gene Deal before, or you?
I've never interviewed him.
Oh, okay.
But I would watch what he would say, and then there's a particular YouTube channel that he's been appearing on lately that I used to be interested in his channel, but he just let my man go on there and just say whatever. And I saw a dude in court twice, Act.
Really?
I saw him in the court. Lord, how many times did you see him down there?
I mean, yeah, I think, and he was starting fights, and it was so weird. It was so bizarre to me that I was like, why would you come down here and then get angry at people who are coming to you, asking you questions? Like, you came down here, you clearly want the attention. And now it's gaslighty. I didn't appreciate that. And I thought that it was just strange. Like it's clout chasing, I guess, is what I would say. But
I saw him in the overflow maybe 2 times, and then we went in the bathroom, pause, but I was in the bathroom, he was using the bathroom, and I seen him there. We didn't speak, but he wasn't taking any kind of detailed notes. And then I would see him later that night on my man's channel, and my man, who's got a reputable channel, would just be letting him say any. See, you can't come on the podcast with Soul and just say anything, man, because I'm not gonna allow that, But Puff is gonna make a comeback, man. Puff is gonna make a comeback, and that's it. Nobody thought. I didn't think he was gonna beat it. To tell you the truth.
And by the way, I'll add on to a little bit of what Sean is saying. The more people I talk to, and shit, I told you guys I talked to Diddy while he's in MDC, and Diddy's demeanor when this first started was, look at these bum ass dudes talking about me. I'm gonna ignore it, right? He didn't want to, the Cassie thing he handled, or he thought he handled, but he didn't want to dignify everything with a response. But what happened is, and I'm going to quote, another media personality, in hip hop, Star from Star and Buckwild. He says, a lie goes unchallenged could become the truth. So all these
talk
guys,
about it.
They were saying this consistently. Yo, Diddy does this, to the point that they gave him an MO. Oh, when you come in, he slips. You have to realize, before the trial, we thought the freak off was you coming to a party, him getting everybody blacked out drunk, and then you're just having sex with passed out unconscious bodies. We're not realizing it's him, his lady, and a sex worker.
3 people.
Yeah, everybody kept thinking, oh, so when does this rapper come in the room? And wait, you went to a Diddy party? Oh, you must have was unconscious and getting fucked by Diddy. To the point that every lawsuit mirrored that. He never ever, he put out a blanket, hey, listen, these things are not true, but he didn't vehemently go at it like how, Jay-Z went at it, because of course the criminal stuff was looming. And now we get to find out he got a little bit of time. He still got some resources. Trust and believe that plane he didn't sell, right? He still got the properties, right? The house in 2-Star Island paid off full, I believe, is $50 or $60 million as is valued on the market. We're not looking at peasant Diddy. And I think he's probably learned his lesson from Cassie. Rather than pay out a red cent to somebody else, fight it till you broke. And if it takes your last dying day, you've seen what trying to protect the image did. It created more liars and allowed people to foster with the thought that you are this person doing whatever. And again, we're not defending any of the domestic violence stuff, but we're talking about in terms of freak-offs. His sexual life was on trial, and clearly the government looked at it. They seen the videos of it. They heard the sounds. They probably could even smell the scents up in that room. And they said, this is consensual behavior. He just need to stop paying for the prostitutes. But other than that, this is all legal to us. I mean, that's pretty much an indictment on everybody who filed a lawsuit against him, alleging other things. We heard about kids, no kids. This was a whole lot of stuff.
That's the whole thing with, we were discussing that about Fat Joe. It's like you add the minors in there, just, and again, I'm not saying this as a blanket thing. I don't know everybody's civil lawsuit, what's true, what's not, but it sounds like with Lil Rod and then with, hype man Terrence Dixon, they're using the same attorney. They got the same MO. You owe me money for this music. Oh, by the way, I saw you have sexual relations with minors. As an add-on, which is a huge deal, right?
That's
huge
the most
deal.
Disgusting part of that. Ugh. So when I interviewed Tyrone Blackburn, if you guys remember the part where, I asked him, I said, I was trying to get to the minors part. And I said, hey, listen, in your first complaint, you said you saw him with minors. Mm-hmm. In the second complaint, after the women who you blacked out their faces came out and says, wait, I'm 26 in that picture. Hey, I'm 28. These are grown women. You took it out. However, you filed a second amended complaint. You had no mention of minors. Are you falling back from the idea or the accusation that Diddy was with minors? He refused to say yes or no. And I said, you're on a big platform here. Do you not care to try to warn people if this guy who's going to get back into society fucks kids? Wouldn't speak about it. Why? It's not because he cared anything about the community. It's because he knows this will be clipped and used in a civil trial. Hey, look what he put in the first complaint. And he went on Academics and said he was lying. The whole thing is a lie. So he tried to play cute there, but you get to realize, man, it's a bunch of baloney, bro. You know, like, again, it's so crazy how one lie shatters someone's reputation. But imagine like 5,000 lies. And in most of these situations, we're not dealing with honest people. Like, for example, I think Cassie was honest. She misremembered a few things. These other motherfuckers are complete liars. Like,
well, I like this comment. Look at Tammy's comment. She said most of Diddy's honest accusers, they don't want to talk about this. However, the accusers who stretch the truth, you know, they're the ones kind of being like, yeah, let me go on all these podcasts. And that's like, what, if, you know, it's so traumatizing. If, you know, these allegations, they seem so traumatizing. Why would you want to talk about it further before it's settled? Why would you want attention on yourself? It's degrading. It's humiliating. It's traumatizing. And, you know, I also think about this now in court. Lawyers, you know, defense attorneys, prosecutors, whatever, they are using what you say in the media against you in court for the jury.
Ain't no question.
Yeah, it's being admitted as evidence. Like Karen Reed, they used her own words on Nightline, Dateline in a documentary. They gave it to the jury, and the judge. It wasn't even whatchamacallit, what, not hearsay. What's the word? It's where basically where you can show it to the jury, but it's not admitted into evidence. It's called something. But this was actually these videos admitted into evidence. So if the jury, when they're deliberating, wanted to see what she said on Dateline, they could. So listen, Lil Rod, if that gets to trial, anything, if the attorney was smart, they would pull things out of your interview and they would show the jury that. So yes, and this is a great comment. This is why you have the right to shut the F up. Like,
listen, the fact that Puff got acquitted of all of the predicate offenses under the RICO and the SEX trafficking, that right there pretty much negates any of the civil suits. I mean, you can still file them and try to get what you can get, but in the criminal case, he was found not guilty of none of the things that you guys are alleging in your civil suits. And then, like you said, Academics, with this dude, Tyrone Blackburn, his reputation is such that he did the same thing with Breonna Bogelin, with her, that came out in the testimony, and with Mia, you know, that he said things to put the lighter fluid and the gas on it. And then they told him, so hold up, man, wait, what you doing? That ain't really true. And then he would take it out, but they would keep. Listen, Puff is, you know, revenge and payback is real. And like you say, he's still got resources. And I think, you know, I think Puff is bigger now than he's ever been, man. You know what I mean?
This question, what do you think, you know, his first move once he's free, we kind of talked about this. Do you think he'll sue for defamation, you know, people like Gene Deal, or, you know, will he stay away from the media? I mean, law enforcement, I think he'll do his best to keep his head down, but I don't know. I would, if it's not true, I would sue Gene Deal. If that is true and Gene Deal started it, right? I would.
Well, Gene Deal ain't really got no tall money, I don't think. I think the one with Ariel Mitchell, Courtney Burgess, and News Nation, I think that's going to be at the top of the list. He's got $100 million joint against NBC and Universal. I mean, I think these are the ones where a settlement can be reached, right, to recoup some of the resources. And you know what was dope about this dude, man? You know, Puff, the more I think about this dude is while he was sitting in MDC Brooklyn for over a year and paying his attorneys probably $1 million plus, his private jet was being chartered and he generated $4 million in revenue from his jet to pay for his attorneys and just have money. you know, it seems like the universe is favoring this dude for some reason, man. You know, and you know, y'all know I've been pulling from him from the door.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I feel bad. I just kicked someone out of the chat. I feel guilty about that. I've never done that before. She was just accusing me of not being objective and having like a pro Puff channel. And I had to write back and say, we are framing things this way because he was acquitted on sex trafficking and racketeering. And number two, they're accusing me because I had Garagos on. I had, Tacopina on. I don't have contact.
I'm pretty sure you would have Maureen Comey on, but she probably don't want to be seen.
I was going to say, just because I have these contacts, like I don't have contacts in the U.S. Attorney's Office. I have one contact from HSI who worked on the case, who, for the record, let me put it out here, I asked him if he wanted to come on and discuss the case with me, and he said, I will talk to you off the record. I won't talk to you on the record. So not that I owe this person an explanation, but if you don't know me by this point, that I like to have both sides on all the time and I try my hardest, then you can go, because I try. But a lot of the time, the government or law enforcement, they can't talk. And that partially, guys, could be because maybe statewide, the case isn't closed. We've talked about people saying, oh, they're going to have another federal indictment against him. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think they can do that. I think if anything, the state would try. The NYPD would try. I don't know, but that's what I would. Yeah.
Well, we do have to remember they did do 2 against Kelly, 2 jurisdiction, even though one, they were different. Clearly, the government is not going to take this line down, right? And I think if Diddy has any type
they fired her, right? So
well, they fired her, but it still makes the office of the Southern District of New York look like amateurs, and we've never seen them look like Fulton County, Georgia. Okay, those are amateurs down there. So again, while we have a new U.S. attorney that's leading that office, and again, the other 5,
he's a Trump appointee, though.
You're right, but again, Trump ain't gonna be here forever. The other AUSAs, keep in mind, there's documents back from the 90s that they were looking into Diddy. They wanted Diddy from a long time ago. It took for Damian Williams to pull the trigger after this whole media storm with Cassie. What I'm trying to say is that those files that they have in terms of investigating him, I don't believe that they just rip them up and go to shreds. I think they wait until Trump's out of office. I think those AUSAs, Emily Johnson and Slavic and the rest of them, they know that they took an embarrassing L. Their leader took the fall. Maureen Comey's not there. But if they could catch him on something, I think they will. Or it might be in a way where another, I would imagine this case could have been tried in LA, right? It could have been in the California district, or it could have been in New York. They picked New York. SDNY takes no L's. That's what we know. Very embarrassing L. And I would imagine that if I'm Diddy, I would retain legal. Well, obviously he's gonna retain legal criminal counsel for the rest of his life. Make sure everything is on the up and up. But you have to watch your back. We've seen in situations where district attorneys, they come back around just in a different way. Oh, OJ, we can't catch you here. Well, you're going to jail for 15 for this over here. So again, I don't think they're going to be that happy about this. Was embarrassing, and it also defeats the entire movement of what's happening. Keep in mind, think about this too. As we speak about Tyrone Blackburn, he represented several of the sexual assault, quote unquote, victims of T.I. and Tiny. He was supposedly involved in an attempted or alleged shakedown of Tiffany Haddish. This is all before Diddy. You get what I'm saying? So what we're seeing is the same characters as come into play. We just never seen a civil suit turn into this massive criminal investigation that actually turned into a RICO indictment. And fortunately for Diddy, that was proven not to be a convictable offense.
Yeah. And let me ask y'all a question. Didn't this dude Tyrone Blackburn, I heard like the last 2 weeks of court, didn't he run over somebody? Somebody was trying to serve him and a search warrant or some shit.
We discussed that. No, he was being served with the counter defamation suit by Fat Joe's process server. Tacopina just talked to me about this, and he said he got arrested for this, Tyrone Blackburn, in Brooklyn. So he's not, I just looked up in the docket, he's not due back until October for literally, criminal court we're talking here for allegedly mowing down a process server. So it's insane. And I think the first step, just going back to SDNY and Maureen in this case, the first step in them trying to repair their public reputation, I think, was firing Maureen Comey. There's a lot of speculation and conspiracy around why she got fired, but I think it might be as simple as her, her loss, her big L on this case. That's
she was involved in the Epstein trial, though, right?
Yeah.
So again,
conviction against Ghislaine.
I'm wondering how big of a, like, they must feel really embarrassed. They're like, they're firing her before sentencing.
Yeah, it's not a good look for them. It's not. And that's why I'm done being a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, this was because of the performance on this trial. That's what I think. I think they had to do damage control.
Let me add something to that, man. I think Pamela Bondi, I think the Department of Justice and the Oval Office, there was a tremendous amount of prosecutorial misconduct that went on in this trial. Let's not forget that, and I just don't want to narrow it down that SDNY took a loss, which they did, but the things that they were doing, putting witnesses on the stand that were perjuring themselves under oath, right? And like you said, Akademics, to taking a funky ass civil case, spinning it into a RICO and spinning it into an SEX trafficking, right? And then you're introducing witnesses and evidence that is flat out lies and perjury. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. And then you still lose. And I think that the Oval Office looked at that and said, I'm not gonna allow this to stand, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let. And then she probably, I would think Maureen Comey was trying to give Puff the most time that she can give on the prostitution joint, when really in a state court in California and New York, this is a 6-month sentence, right? Or, not even jail time, probation. And I think he just told her, look, man, get out the way, man. We're done with you. You lost, and we're not going to do this. All the prosecutorial misconduct that went on here, we're not going for this.
You know what?
I am going to be a little bit cynical, though. I have a cynical argument about how this went down. I think after Damian Williams stepped down, he knew he was going to get fired because Trump took office. The new U.S. attorney, I think
Jay Clayton.
I think he came to his AUSAs and says, "Hey, listen, I'm just in this office. These are all now my cases. What are all these cases? Is this strong? Is this strong?" And I think he probably had a better job on this to say, "Hey, we're probably going heavy-handed here with this guy. Are you sure?" And you have to remember, not only was she sure, she added 2 more counts, right? Yeah. She added 2 more counts in superseding indictments. And I think that new U.S. attorney said, "I'm rocking with you, but this is your job if you don't bring it home." She ain't bringing it home. End the conversation. We don't need you for sentencing. You put your job on it. You fired yourself.
2 witnesses didn't even show up. Gina didn't show up, and then witness number 5. What the fuck is this? I mean, what are we doing? And then now we got the escorts coming out saying that, he was involved with Cassie for 8 years. She gave him chlamydia. They was gonna have a baby. They was totally consensual. It's all of it is just, it just looks like a big circus, man, on the part of the prosecution, man.
Well, let me point out, and I think I mentioned this the other day, Maureen Comey, as when she took the case over, and there was somebody else, by the way. It didn't just, it wasn't Damian Williams, then Jay Clayton. I believe it was there was like Edward Kim, and obviously Maureen Comey, she had the case by then, but because she is where she is in her position there, she had the authority to look at the case and say, this case sucks. I don't want to do it. We're not going to do it. Let's make some changes here. She had the ability to do that. Someone like Johnson.
Let's offer him 10 years.
Yeah, she had the ability to sit there and say, because I was sticking up for her. I was saying, it's not her fault. She got the case. She had no choice. Well, a prosecutor that I spoke to, he told me actually she did have a choice. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So not only, what she decided to do was she took that and added the 2 charges because she knew that it would be tough, in my opinion, obviously, and it was, to get the conviction on the most serious. She knew it would be so easy after she saw the evidence on Cassie's laptop, showing us tangible evidence that he flew these alleged, sex workers here and there. And they're like, done. That's it. We add those and we move forward. So that was on Maureen Comey. So one could actually argue that she was smarter than Damian Williams, right? To add those charges. I mean, so
nah,
it's
not at all.
But still, she got fired, right? She got fired.
Go back to her rebuttal in the closing.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, not the closing. Or was it the closing? Where she was basically trying to spin this. Oh, when they were giving arguments about why he should be sentenced or whatever. Or
she was
trying to spin it into a win. She was like, well, we still got him on 2 charges. He's facing 20 years. And everybody's like, what? And that seemed like a woman who better job on it, because she was trying to spin a clear loss into a W, made it felt like she had somewhat of a personal attachment to it. Think about this. You're trying to spin into a W, but if you are working for the people, there's 2 victims there, Cassie Ventura, also Daphne Joy, aka obviously we know at this point Daphne Joy, but victim Jane. 2 or whatever, or whatever she identified herself by. You didn't get full justice for them, yet you're up there saying that this was a victory. It was a victory for you. You're trying to spin it as victory for your job. Hey, I got some convictions, and it's carrying some years, even if he doesn't get the years. No, you did that. That was self-aggrandizing, type of conduct. She was there for a job, and I definitely believe the fact that she's the daughter of former FBI director
didn't help.
Well, I think it gave her more pressure. It gave her more pressure because she got to bring it home. If she doesn't bring you have to remember, nepotism is a motherfucker. So she's like, my daddy's this. I gotta go get it done. So she was on some by any means necessary. It's just that the means were necessary, just weren't complete.
Yeah, and I think another reason why she was fired based on performance and nothing else is because her husband still works for SDNY. So if this was like a thing about her dad or a thing about Trump not liking her because of her dad, that can't be true, because again, her husband still is employed by the U.S. Attorney's Office at the Southern District of New York. So that's why I'm like, it's purely performance. I'm done speculating, but I want to get your thoughts, guys, really quick, because I have to jump in a few, but what do you guys think about, with the Tupac trial coming up, Keefe D coming up, they are not letting this go. The whole Diddy angle about his name, being mentioned over 70 times in this former proffer agreement, that Keefe D was mad that this agreement was unsealed and everybody knows about it now. He's mad, but he's the one that mentioned Diddy's name again over 70 times, telling him allegedly, and what was it, Eric Zip Martin, that at a party that they would pay good money for Tupac's head and Suge's head. So I don't think they're going to give that up anytime soon. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. Is he going to be pulled into this trial somehow?
I believe not. I think the feds have gotten a pretty good warning that if they're going to go to war with someone like Diddy, you got to have your ducks in order. A bunch of he said, she said, and someone who is a decorated gang member with multiple felony convictions, who has had a history of crimes, also a documented history of being on podcasts and on his own program, telling different
and an informant.
Different versions of the same story. If you're going to rely on that person, you might as well just bring up Don Richard up there a bunch of times, because how unreliable could you get? Unless I think they have Diddy dead to rights, I think that's going to go down in folklore. Maybe you think Diddy was behind it, involved in it, whatever. But I think the feds, if you couldn't get him on this, where people are going to believe the women who are in tears. One's pregnant up there. You have people lying. They brought up so many people. In that situation with Tupac, there's probably there's one living person that could put him in any type of crosshairs to be prosecuted or indicted. You're going to believe that guy?
Yeah.
I don't think Las Vegas respectfully has enough resources to even try to go down that route. So I don't think we're going to hear it from, is that Clark County or Harris County?
Clark County.
It's Clark. So guys, this is a great combo. Let's pick it up. I'm hearing Hulk Hogan died, and now my phone is buzzing to do some hits.
What?
So I have to.
Oh my God!
Can we do this next week? I know, very sad. Very sad. I cannot believe.
I'm back in New York. Let's meet up. The gang is in town. I'm back. Come on.
Let's do it.
Yeah, amazing. That would be amazing. I would love to. So also, I'll text you guys. We'll start a thread.
Also, if you guys ever need my studio, for your independent thing, you guys could use it. Like I own a thing. It's there all the time. So I'll just have one of my staff people just come help you guys out. But
that would be amazing.
If you have to do an interview, whatever, just let me know, let my assistant know, and you could absolutely use the space,
Yeah, definitely. I would love that. I would love that. But all right.
Lauren, let me say this one last thing, Lauren, before we go. Listen.
Yep. Yes.
Everybody thought Puffy was gone and was dead. The man beat the Southern District of New York at trial in New York City. Beat him at a RICO. He's looking at less than 2 years on a sentence. He's coming out and he's going to make a comeback. Mark my words. And everybody who has something to say, he's going to hold everybody accountable for what they said about him. And I think he's going to be bigger than what he was before he went in. I think this is going to be a transition for him to see who really loves him and who didn't. And just be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna holler at you when I get home, man. I'm down in Florida. Lauren, thank you for having me on.
That's so fun. I love you guys. Thank you for coming on with me. I so appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe on the way out, subscribe to all the channels. I'll text you guys so we can set something up. I really appreciate you both.
Let's do it.
Great time in Florida, my brother.
Yeah, fun. All right, guys.
Peace.
See you later.
Bye.
See ya.